Hello again, welcome to Alien World, and today I am actually not going to be doing an alien. I'm going to be doing this little cat. So I tried him out and liked him very much. He is pretty much based on the Esther Braithwaite Kitty friend. Her PDF is online. I did it on the straight, not on circular needles. And I tweaked the pattern slightly by putting a cable in here, and I crochet a neckband. What I have done is I have made another one. There's a slight difference, is that I've added 2 or 3 rows so that the head will be a little bit bigger, and I am going to put the eyes closer together, but otherwise he will be the same. Just to show you the pattern that I have formulated for this one, if you want to take a screenshot, let me just get the lights on. So that is my pattern, if it makes any sense. The trousers are 18 rows, the shirt jersey is 14 rows, and the head is 18 rows. It is not decreased in here, that's actually pulled in, it's gathered. So as you can see, it is knitted. It's knitted on the straight, but I do, unlike Esther, she starts off with the stitches that she wants. I actually start off with less, and on the second row I increase. So I start off with 18 stitches, I purl 1 row, then I increase, I knit 1, I knit 2, increase 16 times, and I knit 1, and that gives me 34 stitches. And then all the rest is in stocking. I do 2 cables. The cables are over 4 stitches and they overlap. And the cable is on row 5 and row 11. So that's pretty straightforward, but the cable is optional, but I do like the look it gives. So now that you've seen the pattern, you can see the little cat closer up. I have also added rings to the head. He can either be a Christmas decoration, he can be a mobile, or he can hang from a bag. He could be a key ring, but I don't know how he would weather with all the keys pulling on the cotton. I mean on the yarn. So the eyes, these ones are gapped 6 stitches. So there are 6 stitches between the gaps, and the eyes are on the 7th row. I'm quite happy with the eyes on the 7th row, but I do want to bring them closer. Yeah, I'm going to try that, just bring them closer. Probably by half a stitch. Literally, that is literally half a stitch. So if they move over half a stitch on each side, it will equal 1 stitch. What I first need to do is add the eyes before anything else. I have a whole selection of darning needles as well as tapestry needles, darning needles, chenille needles, all different names. I have a pair of sharp scissors, and when I was knitting it, the starting tails, the ending tails were all 1 arm's length. So basically I pinched my work where I was and I pulled it all the way up to my armpit. So that's 1 arm's length. So I have lots of yarn to sew it up, and I will be stuffing it as I go. I'm going to start with the eyes, and then I will close the head, and I will also, well, I'll show you as I go. So the first step is to do the eyes. Now normally I will glue them in, but this time I'm not going to. What I need is a larger needle. This is probably a 4. And I need to work out where the eyes are. Now, when I was making my aliens, I marked the eyes as I was knitting because it was very difficult to see the middle. What I like about this little cable here is that it is now my guide, both for when I do the trousers, to know where the seam is for the trousers, as well as for the eyes. It is fantastic. So even though it's a little bit fiddly to do the cable, it really comes in good service afterwards. The cable spans over 4 stitches. So it's 1 that side, 2, 3, 4. You can see where it goes. So those are the 4 stitches. There we go, of the cable. Which means that I now know where my middle is. I'm just putting these in so that you can see what I'm doing here. I now know where. You can pull your work open a bit. And this was knitted on a 2.25. Esther suggests a 3.25, but I like my work to be really compact. I can now see where the middle is. There's 1 stitch, there's 2. So now that is the middle of the face. Once I've worked out where the middle is, I can now position the eyes on each side. So Pink Kitty has 3 stitches on each side of this, and then Pink Kitty, the eye is in the 4th stitch. So I'm going to be moving it over by half a stitch. I'm also going to be doing it in the 7th stitch from the bottom. So let's start with the 7th stitch from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need to double check that because it's really easy to miscount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'm in the 7th stitch and I need 2.5. So it's 1, 2. Okay, so it's going to be 3, 1, 2, 3. So the last kitty was in the 4th one, which is there. So I'm going to be doing it half over. So literally, the eyes are lying between the 3rd and the 4th stitch from the center. Okay, let's just double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it's there. Okay, let's pin that up. Do the same for the other side. I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. Sorry about that. One, 2, 3. So it's going to be between the 3rd and the 4th stitch, which is this one here. And we needed to be the 7th from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's tricky, that one there. Let me try the other side. Sometimes when the stitches are not clear, I just go to the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's there. Yeah, fiddly, but I've got it right. What I will do now with my larger needle is make a hole, move the hole around, and put the eye in. The eyes have a small factory defect on them. It's like a little chip. Each eye has that. I will be positioning that chip at the bottom, holding it in place and then putting the safety bracket on the back. Start with this side. Make sure I go in exactly where that pin is, and without hitching my phone, I'm going to make it a bit bigger. See if I have an even bigger one. Yeah, I do. I have an even bigger one, which is about the size, even bigger than the size of that, so it should be fine. Give it a good wiggle. Now I'm going to put one in before I do the other one, because the hole closes actually fairly quickly once you start moving it around. Okay, it's in, checking it all the way, nothing is caught. Turning it. Holding it in place, because once it clicks in, it's very difficult to move it. There we go. Okay, it's clicked in place. Yeah, it's difficult to move it. I'm doing the same with the other side. That's Storm Franklin blowing outside. Sorry, I keep falling off camera. I'm going to move the whole camera up like it was yesterday, because I think that's the problem, is I keep thinking the camera's higher up. That should be better. Sorry about that. Okay, wriggling this in here. Facing down. Can take this out now. Making sure that see, there are a couple of stragglers that are caught on it. All the fibers are down. And then getting this. There we go. Okay, put my needles away. The next step, so what I did when I cast off was I actually pulled the tail out, and as you can see, it's actually the last 2 stitches, because what I'm going to do is, this video might be in several sections. If it suddenly stops, I am going to upload as it is and go to part 2, simply because when I use the video converter and cutter and all that kind of stuff, it's been giving me problems with my memory and whatnot. So I prefer to just upload it as soon as it's been made without actually going into the video converter, if possible. So what I've done is, so here is the last stitch, is I go to the other side and I go underneath the cast off, pull it through the cast off, and I come back and I go back in where I've just come from. So now basically it's created a round. going to do is I'm going to close up the back of the head, and then I will come back and do the top of the head. So I've basically gone in there. I'll just come out on the other side. When I close it, I work from the right side of the work, not from the inside. I work from the right side. And I basically go back and forth. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I go back and forth, just trying to catch. I'm not going to try and catch the end one there because it's a little bit ugly. I'm going to go into the next one. It's a little bit easier with the alien. So I've come out of that guy, go into the next one, go across to the other side, catch the next one, come back. Sometimes it's tricky to actually find it. It can be, whoops, aliens went flying. It's getting better now, getting away from that cast off, which had a mind of its own. So I keep going down. When I get closer to the jersey, I will see whether I'm out by a row or two. Sometimes it's not exactly even. Then I will just rectify it as I get closer. So this is also why I like to have a nice tight beginning and end of the row. I do not slip any of the stitches. Sometimes some people, they slip the first stitch and purl the last. Or they do all kinds of things like that. I've tried them. Sometimes with the pattern it works, sometimes it doesn't. But with this one, if it's on a purl side, I purl every stitch. If it's on the knit side, I knit every stitch. I don't slip any of the stitches at the beginning or end of the rows. Sorry, I wanted to sneeze. So here I am now. I have, when I knitted it, I made a knot. And I'm going to leave that knot in place. I'm not taking it out. I won't be using this color to sew up the jersey. But what I will be doing is I am now, at this point, going to place these two yarns for my neck. Then I will go down to the bottom and I'll fetch this blue and I'll work it up here. Because I need this blue for the plait. That is a plait made with a crochet hook that is 2 strands of the yarn. So it sounds a bit complicated, but it's actually quite exciting. This over here I will be using for the ears. So if you want to, you can go back and do the ears now, you can do it later. But I'm going to do the neck. So let's just take him away for now. I don't want him in the way. I don't want him getting caught. He's just gone for the moment. What we can actually do is, because I have a stitch marker here, I'm going to zoom out. What we can do, just so that he doesn't get in the way, and we can see what we're doing. Take him a stitch marker. I'll put him up there. So that's his place. This one over here is for the legs. This one as well. So we don't need these ones now. It's always better to have more yarn than not, because I love my little containers. Because if you're doing quite a few at a time and you're using different colors, you don't have to go looking for your ball of yarn if you're missing that little bit of yarn, that 10 centimeters that you need to sew it up because you didn't cut your tail long enough. Okay, so now we've more or less got these out the way. This one here, as I said, they all cut one arm length, so I've got lots and lots of tails to work with. This one here is now going to be sewing up the back of the jersey. It seems fiddly, it's not really. Oh, hang on, let me take these ones out for now, just so that they're on the right side. So when I sew up the jersey, there we go. When I sew up the jersey, these ones are on the correct side. It just makes it easier to do it now rather than later. So what I'm going to do is, while it's open like this, it's easier. I'm going to zoom in again. What I am going to do is I am going to see the little knot is there. I'm going to come out, but not right on the edge, because that's where we're going to sew the jersey in. I'm going to go just a little bit more in, and I'm going to come out. Okay. And then, because the neck is pulled in, that's how you get this effect. You are gathering the neck. Now, most patterns, when they're making comfort dolls, they suggest you do it once. I like to do it twice. Which I mean is I either go round twice with one strand, or I use 2 strands. In this case, I'm going to use 2 strands, one of each color. I've got a blue strand, and I try and, if I have a tail or something, then I try and find a use for it. So that's why I've got 2 strands, one in each different color. So here what we do is, each stitch has 2 little V's to it when you're knitting. So we're going to pick up 2 V's, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go over 2 V's, and then we're going to pick up 2, go over 2, pick up 2, go over 2, pick up 2, and we're just going to repeat that all the way around, making sure we're staying in the last row of our little jersey. I must say, stocking stitch has some wonderful qualities about it. There's so many fun things you can do with it. If you go a little bit off, if you've only picked up 1 V or something, don't panic, don't worry. The little collar is going to hide all kinds of mistakes. But as far as possible, be accurate. But sometimes it does happen. Because the thing is, sometimes we want to pull something else and start again, and then we can actually snag our yarn, and then we cause more damage than anything. Don't go all the way to the edge, because remember, you've got to sew up your jersey. So just stay a little bit away from the edge. And then you take off your needle, and you're going to repeat the same with the brown. So here's the brown tail. So when I started my row, I had a 1 arm's length of brown. As you can see, there's the knot. I'm going to just come out anywhere, just so that I'm on the right side of the work, and then I can see where I am. Now here, what we want to do is we want to do the opposite of what the blue was doing. So this blue here, on this row, on this row going up, not the row going across, the row going up, the blue's on top. And here it's underneath, there it's on top, here it's underneath, here it's on top. With the brown, we are going to do the opposite of what the blue is doing. So let's just see where we are. Okay, so these ones, the blue was under, which means we're going to go above. Then these blue ones are above, so next to it we're going to go under. And then jump over 2. And if our count was right with the blues, then the brown ones should automatically lie next to them. Just check every now and then, just make sure that you are actually doing the opposite of the blue. If not, just modify your stitch. Even if you have to jump over 3 or just jump over 1, so that you are doing the opposite of the blue. And when you do 2 rows like this, it does give a lovely finish to the neck. Even if you don't do a collar, it does give a lovely finish to the neck. So where am I here? Oops, okay, I almost took only 1 instead of jumping over 2. So every now and then we have to just double check to see what we're doing. As I said, it looks fiddly, but it actually becomes quite enjoyable. Especially when one sees the results afterwards. Now I could have made the collar in browns, but because my jumper is blue, and it would kind of seem strange to have a collar in the same color as the fur of the cat. But if my whole cat was brown, then maybe I would do a collar, maybe I wouldn't do a collar. I just adapt. There's no set rules. Okay. And as I said, sometimes I'll only have 1 strand, and then I'll go around twice. And what I'll normally do is I'll find the middle of the strand if I have a loose strand of yarn. And then I'll start at the back, and one will go one direction and one will go in the other direction. These 2 just happen to be going in the same direction. So you can play around with it. As I said, you can always use 1, but I just like 2. I'm not going to pull them now. I'm going to pull them when the head gets stuffed. What I am going to do is just check that there's no outstanding large loops which can get caught on something. Okay, that's fine. Now we're going to come back. He's still got a needle on him. I quite often do that. Just leave the needle on. I'm going to come back to the jersey, which I'm going to sew up. I want to get the angle right, just because I like to work in a particular direction. You can do whatever you're comfortable with. Now what you want to do is you want to match up. It's also got a knot in. I'm going to leave the knot, not going to undo the knot. You want to match up the edges. And it can be a bit tricky because sometimes when we're joining a new color, can pull. So I've got to make absolutely sure I got it right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come out, just going to simply go in and come out on the right side of the work. Doesn't matter if you did it from which side you did it from. Just that I'm on the right side of the work, and I've matched everything up. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go in there, That is probably going to be a little bit of a pain, but so that is row 2. See, it's row 2. Find whatever is easiest for you. I'm just going to do it like this, and then I'm going to double back. So I'm on row 2, and then I'm going down to row 1, crossing over to row 1, picking up 2 of them on that side. And then going back 2 on that side, going back to row 2 on this side. And now I'm ready to go. I'm going to try and work out where I was on here. Remember, I was avoiding one of the rough edges. I was avoiding the rough edge on this side. So let me just continue with that. I need to pick up 1 on each side now. I don't want to pull it too tightly. This thing is not going to be overly stuffed, so there's not going to be a lot of strain on the seam. And also these stitches are very tight. The work is not going to gape. If it's a looser knit, then one has to really be careful to not be too tight on the work, on the sewing up, because you can actually distort your work. But if you're too loose, it won't hold the seams. The seam won't be held. The sides won't be held together properly. A little bit of pink fibers come in there. Coming up to the brown. See where I am. I might have to adjust it a little bit. But as I said, there's going to be a collar, and the collar is going to hide all kinds of little secrets. Okay, go there and just, so you can see I still have 1 left. What I'll just do is I'll go into it and I'll come down again. Just pulling it slightly down, but it will be underneath the collar, so you won't really see it. And what have I done here? Ah, look what's happened. So one always needs to double check. Luckily it wasn't too far away. But that can easily happen. So I've double checked, just like I double checked with this, that there was no loops anywhere. Gonna zoom out. Whoops, the wrong way. These 3 I'm not going to use until I've actually sewn the ears closed, top of the head and the ears, and I've stuffed it. So we can actually, just to make our lives easier, get a stitch marker out and just hold them. It seems to be taking a long time. We're already 33 minutes in, but that's because I'm explaining stuff. If I'm just doing it without explaining, it goes faster, it goes quickly, and with a good little video on my phone or some music or something, it's actually very pleasant. So it's not a chore. So remember, I filed this one over here. Parked him like in a garage. I'll just go and get him out. He doesn't need to be parked there. He's all the way down there. I'm not going to weave him up. It's unnecessary. What I just need to do is anchor him. I'm going to use a fairly small one for now anyway, because I'm going to have to work into the seam in the back here, and it can be quite difficult to do that. What I need to do now is I need to find the front, and once again, thanks to my jersey cable, that is going to be easy to do. So that jersey cable really comes in handy. I've got to find the exact middle. Could use the eyes. The eyes can be a little bit tricky now because I haven't marked what's going on. But here the jersey is, there's the other side of the jersey. There's the jersey middle. Just going past the collar. Okay, in theory I should have 4 stitches. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. So that could be the middle. One, 2. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. I could have put a stitch marker there earlier on. Okay, so that's the middle there. Yes, I'm happy with that. What we're going to do now is we need to align the back and the front. So he's there, and where is the back? Yeah. There is the back. So now we've aligned the back and the front. As I said, I could have put a stitch marker earlier. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come next to it, just to place it. Make sure I don't pull, because I don't want to pull that. So I just need to make sure it's a little bit loose. Back and the front. I'm going to put another one here in the front because I don't, if it comes out, I don't want to have to go fiddling looking for it again. It's just to get it going. Okay, there we go. So the back and the front. And what I'm going to do is, I didn't do it with this kitty. I did it with, what did I do with it? Oh, here. I did it with this kitty here. I really like that, like a really thick ridge. Unfortunately, you can't see this color. They're both STYLECRAFT Special DK, but this one is thinner. It's just simply a thinner yarn than that one, so you can see how it knits up. And I could very well have used a slightly larger needle, but I knitted it quite a while ago. But I sewed it up last night. So what I'm going to do is work out the back and the front and pinch them right together. Okay, let's go up a little bit. One more. I know it's really fiddly, but I don't want my face to be skew. It's not the end of the world if it's slightly skew. I do try to avoid that. Okay, so it's pinched. And now I can work across it. Go in there. and go in there. So I'm going in two layers instead of one. Start to work itself out. Soon enough, go in those two. Probably thinking, oh Lord, I'm sure she could have made this easier. Esther actually, she casts off with something called a Kissinger stitch. You basically have this, the stitches on the needle, and with a tapestry needle or a darning needle, you literally are weaving the stitches off, and it makes an invisible seam on top of the head. I watched a video on it, and I thought, okay, I'll give that a try, which I haven't yet done. It was about 2 days ago I watched a video on it. And it seemed like quite an interesting way actually to close the top of the head. And probably worth exploring or trying. So even though, as you saw there, I went a little bit backwards, it doesn't matter because this top of this head has been flattened. Look, it's like flattened. So even if you go in one and you come out a little bit to the side or not of the other side, it's still going to remain flat. Not quite perfect there. I seem to have done something. Let's go right to the end. I mean, there are many ways of actually doing this. I'm going to go through, but I want to go underneath. I want to actually catch that there. While I'm here, I'm going to make a little tiny stitch for the ear. Let me just count 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll just go down 4. Come out the 5th one. Let's go into the back. It's literally just to make a little tiny pinch. And then I can go back up. Ah, made a mistake there. I could feel it. I could actually feel with my finger. I could feel it running on my finger, and I realized that I had not gone into the middle. I had not gone inside. Yeah, that's good. Going to work my way across. Ensure I'm not coming out, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side. Don't need that anymore. So you can see his face. I think if it was an owl, he would be beautiful. It's good. This one could actually almost be an owl, but because he's going to have little legs and arms, he's probably going to look more like a cat. But Esther Braithwaite, she has a very nice little range of, she calls them her forest friends. She really has some lovely, lovely animals. I do highly recommend looking at her. If you want to try making comfort dolls, then she's definitely the place to start. And there's no reason why one of my first ones, I think, was, I just called it the ghost. I had some cream yarn. It was really a thick DK. And I think I used a size 3.5 needle just to try it out. And it was so fun. It was so much fun that I started doing more and more. But there's no reason why one can't start out making little comfort dolls that are one color, keeping it super simple. Gave him little eyes, because he had these little eyes that were sewn on. He had no mouth, nothing. He looked like a little ghost. But he went off to find him, so he found a home. As soon as I make something, I wanted to find a home. So if I had to keep everything, I'd need a whole room for all the things. So yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to just do the ear tag. Let me go underneath. I'll do it from the front, because from the back I can see quite clearly where the back is, but I want to get it from the front. And 2 from the side, yeah. 2 from the side. Okay. One can do this at an angle, doesn't have to be straight across. I'm trying out different things each time. The other kitty was at an angle. This one is straight across. Other kitty, he had 2. I went in and out like this twice. This one I'm doing it 3 times. Now I need this yarn. Look at the eyes poking through there. I'll be careful it doesn't get damaged. Do I need this yarn again? I have enough for down there. I have enough for the legs. Hopefully I have enough blue to do the arms. If not, I'll have to make a plan. Done that, but I've got to be sure now that I haven't caught anything, because otherwise I won't be able to stuff them. Okay, it's fine. I'm just checking that I haven't done anything silly. Otherwise, when it comes to stuffing him, okay, let me get my stuffing out. This is toy filling from Hobbycraft. I opened a bag yesterday. I'll put it in my little container like that. It's beautiful. I don't even have to fluff it up. It's just so beautiful. Open it a little bit if I want to. Now the trick is to try and get past the eyes. See these? So what I'm doing is my finger, I'm going actually around the back of the eyes, like that. Already at 50 minutes. As I said, if it suddenly stops, I'll make a part 2. So just come and find me in part 2. Other day it said that it literally said to me, oh, come to the end of a recording length or something. Just made up its own mind. I don't want to overstuff it, but I also want to have enough in the neck. Okay. And I can never tell the character of the little creature until it starts taking shape. They get definite personalities. Look at this little guy. He's got this real little, this one's quite different. Can't tell. He's got just on the angle of the eyes, he's got quite a cheeky little face. I still have to do the collar, so his personality hasn't quite come out yet. Put the stuffing to the side. Get my pencil ready. I like to use that for moving stuffing around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip this one off. So carry it to the other side. A little tail, it'll disappear soon enough, but he's in the way. As soon as I've worked this brown, I will also work him away and cut him off, and then I'll be just left with the blues. But I will need the brown for now. I have to work out which one he is. Okay, so those are the two there. Zoom in. What I'm going to do is pull these two and then fasten them. But I need to pull them in a way, first of all, they mustn't break. But I also need to pull them in a way that they're going to be evenly pulling the neck in. I'm going to start with the brown, a fairly good needle, and put darning needle. Because they slide out quite quickly, so which means that you've pulled it closed, and the next thing you know, it's coming undone. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to complete the pattern. So 2 over, there he is, jumping over that one, 2 over. Follow the original pattern. Just go one more, the original pattern. So now I'm happy now that I've made a complete loop. Okay, so I've made a complete loop of the brown. And then what I'm going to do is just go back one loop like that, and then come out at a random place. Now here's the thing, I need to make sure that my head is stuffed the way I want it to be stuffed, because once I start going back and forth, I can't get any more stuffing in there. So I've got a little bit of stuffing in the body, as you can see. I'm just giving a little tiny, not too much, take some of this out here. I'm going to give a little tiny, don't want to break the stuffing up too much on the outside because the fibers go everywhere and then they get sewn in, and I don't like that either. If I overstuff the head, the eyes will bulge in an uncomfortable way. But if I understuff the head, he won't have the character that he needs. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Use my finger now. Just going a little bit more. Yes. So I'm going to put this one away. Not stretching it too much open. Got to check that it's not stretching. That's why I'm using a small needle. Very happy with that. A little bit of the stuffing is coming out, which is very annoying. But that's because I wove him once before finishing my stuffing and pulling him out properly. But let's go back in. Come out somewhere else. Just loop in, loop out. I am not using what I'm doing now to tighten the neck. The neck's already been tightened. What I'm doing now is keeping the head stuffing as much as possible in the head. Remember, this thing's probably going to have some wear and tear. By going back and forth, like literally across north to south, east to west, so to speak, I'm hoping to ground that stuffing in ground, like when something's grounded. Not grinding pepper, but as in keeping something on the ground, like create a foundation for the head stuffing to stay in place. Can even go right to the back of the neck. There's no reason why not. Put it in, come out to the front. It'll start to feel like the head will start to feel like a little ball. It'll start to feel contained. One obviously doesn't have to spend this much time on one doll. I kind of just get carried away, and it's the process. I like the process more than the end product. And once the end product is there, it can go on this little journey. It's really the process I enjoy. I mean, I could just as easy painting model aeroplanes like my brother used to do. He used to paint these model aeroplanes, and then he used to hang them on the ceiling in his bedroom. He didn't play with them. So there we go. This one over here is sticking out a bit. Just put that in, move it underneath. It's all but disappeared. So yes, the eyes, already just moving the eyes across, it makes a difference. Nothing wrong with this kitty. This one actually looks more like a kitty. I don't know what this one's going to be looking like. We haven't finished with the hardest part. It's not over yet. The collar will happen, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to stuff it a bit more. what I first need to do is close this. So I'm going to wrap that around. Until we can keep it in place. Be careful not to damage it. Fortunately, some of these stitch markers are absolutely horrible. Some of them are lovely. So where am I? Yeah, I'll sew up with this one. I'll sew all the way down to the bottom. As I said, we'll just come out. So I came out there just simply to have somewhere to come out. To that side and one on this side. One. I'm going to take two because this one over here is a bit gaping. So I'll take two on that side as well. Take two on that side. Take one on this side. One. Take two because the one on this is very small. Yeah, sometimes I just take two. One project is never the same as another. Starting to get a bit messy down here. Stitches. I'm going to avoid that edge. So what I'm going to do is just literally just drop it and pick up those ones there. Small modification. It's half a stitch. That's going to be missing. You can see the half a stitches, that part in there, but it's just not comfortable to. It's not been worked comfortably. It's, I don't know, it's resisting. And because it's an inside seam, it's fine. If it was a jersey or something and you could see it, well, then you'd want to be more careful. In this case, it's the inside of this toy. Coming down to the edge, I'm going to find out where my ends are. There's my little nodule. That's my start of my cast on. So my cast on's there. I'm going to go right next to that little nodule. There's the nodule. Sometimes I go right into it and it goes easily, and sometimes it doesn't. So I'm going to use a smaller, I think it's a size 24, smaller needle. I'm going to go into that nodule, pull it through. If it'll just go through, now creating a knot. Go to the other side, pick it up. Okay, go back into that nodule. In theory, this is going to be really tight. Yeah, it is, because I'm going to be stuffing. Zoom out. I'm going to be stuffing, and your seam can actually come undone if you have not anchored it properly, because that hole is fairly small. I'll need less stuffing than the head, and it's going to leave some fibers floating around, so I need to be vigilant that I don't sew them into my jersey into my little animal afterwards, because if they get sewn into the seam, they can be quite difficult to get out, and then with this color they could be more visible than if it was a white yarn. You can see there's some. Okay, his little jersey, and then his little legs. I have two options. I can guess and I can close them up, or I can do the jersey and the arms and then work my way down. And that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my collar, I'm going to do my arms. If I want to do, I can always close that off with stitch marker. Might have to open it. Don't want to push that one through. Now this is a nice one, you see. I'd rather take this one and push it through. Okay. Now remember, I had worked away the brown one, and the blue one I didn't. He still had the job of closing it off. I didn't work him away. But you see, the brown one has now kept everything in place. What I'm going to do is, one is a bit longer, because the one sewed up the back of the jersey, the other one was for the neck. So, get some of these fibers away. Here's what I need to do. I need to get them both in the same place. Zoom in. This is the one that's worked around the neck. And I need to go and put him in the same place as that one there. They're both in the same place. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be crocheting them. So what I do is I go back. Take the other one. It's easy to pull it out. Put both of them into the needle at the same time. See, they're both in the same direction. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go underneath this. Put your finger in there. And what I need to do is create a loop, getting out all the bumps and twists as much as possible, because I'm going to be crocheting that. Take off my darning needle. Pop, pop, pop. This one's gone a little bit back on itself. Fortunately, that sometimes happens. Luckily, it's at the end. Okay. I like to work with a big crochet hook. If I can just find him, there he is. 4.5. So you can see which way it's lying. Get it ready. And then I pull through my first loop. I pull it all the way down. I will be coming later on and working into that first loop to close off my collar. My collar becomes an infinite collar, which means you can't tell where the beginning and the end is. Next one, pull down. I'm always checking that I haven't got any uneven loops, or if there isn't too much twist. There's too much twist in my two guys here. I need to undo that twist, take it out. See, it's twisting up. Gotta get the twist out. Just pull it down. When I pull it down, it springs back a little bit. But I do want it to be neat. But it's almost impossible to make it too tight, because it does just jump back because there's two of them. When you do one strand, you can make it a real little rat's tail. My first ones had one strand. That's one strand. And then I started working up. That's also one strand. You can see how tight it is, and it doesn't cover up. This one I made a collar with two, my aliens. So then I started doing 2 strands. Just felt it gave it a thicker collar. So I'm very happy with my 2 strands now. Always tweaking my patterns. Okay. Every now and then, I know it's not long enough, but every now and then you just measure. Just wrap it gently. Still have a way to go. A little tug. He's the right length. You can take this out. Show he's sitting nicely, that he's snug. And what I'm going to do is, once I've worked out that he's the right length, if you want to, you can use a needle just to pin it in place. Don't use a big one, use a small one. You can even use a sewing needle just to pin it in place, because what's going to happen now is you're going to pull out the excess. You are literally going to work out which one, yeah, it's this one here. Going to work out which one is going to be the right one to complete the necklace. Straight. I would cut them both the same length, but the problem is I need them to cut my sleeves, to sew up my sleeves. Okay, I'm taking out all the twist. I'm going back into that loop there. Okay. And then I am completing the crochet loop. Going underneath that original, that very original first crochet hoop. There it is, that's the original one. And I'm going to go back into there. And that is going to finish the collar. I pull it out to the front. I'm going to go underneath. Make sure that I can get it all the way out. Take this guy here out. Once you get the hang of it, you're basically just finishing the loop, you see. The same way we finished the loop up here, joined the back, remember? I absolutely love invisible seams. So now you can see, it's very hard to see where the beginning and the end is. If you want to give it a little bit extra tug, you can. If you want to help it a bit more, be careful, you can actually damage it if you're not careful. There we go. Now that you've got it in place, now with the aliens, I was actually going in and out, in and out. I somehow didn't feel it was necessary with the cat. He seems to be sitting quite nicely in place. So what I'm going to do is, and because I'm using this yarn for the sleeves, I won't be cutting them. So all I'm doing is I came out here in the front. I'm just going to go, not right back in the same place, I'm just going to go a little bit next to it, just literally one step away. And I'm going to come somewhere else out in the back. And I'm not going to tug it hard, okay? You don't want to distort it. Just go over one, literally half a stitch. Come out somewhere else. And this one is going to be for this arm here. This one can be for that arm. Now I need to work out where my arms are. Remember, I got stuffing in already. The way the arms work is you count evenly from the center. It's a little bit different on the back. You might be off by half a stitch, but you're also going to count evenly for the arms. So once one decides what one wants, like this, maybe he could have had a little extra loop there. Once you decide what you want, then you do the same for both sides. And you see the armpit is not too high. It's quite a big space before the armpit. If you want to, you can write it down. Where's my little piece of paper that I had scribbled something down yesterday for the, here's my little scribble pad. So if you want to write it down, just so that when you come to the next arm, you can make sure you've got the same thing. If you're doing a lot of them, you'll very soon work out your count. Okay, so this is the cable. The cable is 4 stitches. Then you want to work out how much you have for the front and how much you have for the arm. So it'll be, and remember the arm is literally going around to the back. So here's my cable. Here is my cable. That's it. So there's the front and there's the arm. Sorry, it was off screen. There's my cable. So it's 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. What did this little guy have? 1, 2. He had 3.5. Okay, so I'll do 3.5. It's my cable. 1, 2, 3.5. Jab it in to the back. What does it give me? More or less even. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. 7 and 3.5. So okay. 7 and 3.5. So now I'm up here. I'm just going to go back in, come out, a little trick is to just go around one of the stitches. Literally, look, it makes like you tug it and that's it, it's stuck. Go back in, trying to come out at the same distance from there to there. Take it out. No, it's a little bit too high. Yeah, they're happy with that. Go back in a little bit higher. Come out where I was. Pull it in. I like to have the little hands in the pocket, so now what I need to do is try and work inside that line that I have created. The beginning is not so obvious. It becomes more obvious as you're working down the arm. See, there we go. You can go up again if you want to. Just try and keep it in the same pleat, same line. Can be a little bit tricky. I'm happy with that. As I have enough yarn here, I'm going to do the other side as well. So I'm just going to go back into the arm and then come out at any random spot, carry it across. Don't want it to be tight, to be a little bit loose. So now on this side we have to count the same thing. I might end up not needing this blue, but you never know. On this side, if you want to move the stuffing some more, you can. So we have 3.5 from the cable and then 7 for the arm. 1, 2, 3.5, and then 7 for the arm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me start again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. So it's actually, there we go. Okay. Once I've established where that is, I'm not going to go too high up because it's difficult to see where. See, now I came out there, you can see it's disappeared. But I'm still going to loop it over just one little stitch. Create that little loop. Okay. Now I'm going to go in, looking from the side. Is it even? Yeah, I'm looking from the brown. Is it even? Yeah. Go up one, come out of the same place, take the other guide away, and now I can pull. I can work my way down and work my way up. Work my way all the way down to the brown. I'm not quite in the right groove, am I? Yes, I am. Go over that part. A bit further up because he does not look like the other side. Concentrating hard, so I'm not being very chatty. What do I think? Undo the neck. First of all, I can get rid of this guy in. To come out the neck, I can come out anyway, really. Oops, let me zoom out. Whoop. So, little fox, you're looking a little bit lopsided. I think the one armpit has been worked a bit more than the other. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to stuff it some more, or rather move the stuffing around. As I said, you can never tell the character of these little things until the last minute. Because once the trouser leg is created, that'll keep all the stuffing in the top chest in place. It's like he's got like little shoulders that don't have any stuffing in them. This poor little guy. I'm trying so hard to get the stuffing up there to give him a little bit of shoulder, and it just doesn't want to go. Come on, go up there. He's just gonna be this skinny little fella. So what I'm gonna do is make sure that his legs are nicely stuffed, because if they're not, it might creep down a little bit. Was just to be bulked up a bit. Once his legs are pleated in, yeah, he might bulk up. So I'm not going to cut the blue because he might need to have a little tiny bit of cosmetic surgery on his arms. So here I come again with finding the middle based on this cable. Once again, the cable has come in handy. And all the way down, that's the middle. And the middle based on where I sewed it up, and I would say probably round about there. It's just literally to be able to pinch it. keep my tail shorter otherwise. See, that's the problem, is it's catching on there. Get some of the stuffing out the way while I do this. I might have to go down a needle size. I do prefer to sew up with a slightly bigger needle, which is this one. Not so keen on the 24 for sewing up. Probably won't need both tails. So what I'm going to do is, because this tail is getting in the way and I need it at the top of the head, it's going to be for my pendulum. What's it called? Pendulum? Those little rings. Hanging him to see if he's hanging true. Yeah, he's hanging true. You know, while I'm up here, let me just do this. First of all, make sure that he's not deforming anything. So I worked him all the way up to the top. Got no choice, I'm going to take the smaller one. Sometimes when you make a seam, the work becomes tight and there's just no gaps anywhere to get the needle in. Come to the side. Ow. We jump over because it's the back. Come out a little bit on that side. Maybe a bit of overkill, but it is what it is. There we go. It's almost like a little feature now. Okay, I'm happy with that. Checking the ears before I cut this. Okay. Okay, now where were we before we were rudely interrupted by that? We were down here. How's he coming on? He's coming on very well, I think. He's been getting better. Still has skinny little shoulders, the poor thing. He's probably going to be a little bit leg heavy. Get some of the stuffing up before I close the legs. Okay. Once again, the middle. Okay, that's the middle. And the middle of the back. Good from the side. This one's quite tricky because unless I more or less work out how far that distance is and that distance is. Make the little loop again. Okay. Pull it in. I think he's going to have very fat legs. This is really going to be the strangest little cat. Trying so hard to get the fluff up. That's why I'm starting lower down instead of up at the crotch. I'm starting lower down because I'm trying to move the stuffing up further. Love a cup of tea. 1 hour 45 minutes. But it'll take as long as it takes to sew this little guy up. Oops, a little bit off. Sometimes the legs are so easy, but today is not the day. It's almost like he has little raccoon legs. It's the strangest thing. He's got no bum. He's got these fat thighs. As I said, you can never tell. I'm going to work my way down now. He actually looks like he's got things in his pockets. Heaven knows what he's got in his pockets. But they are bulging. He's got his little... Oh la la. Go back a bit. I feel that this... It's not been well defined. That's better. There's one down here as well that's not being well defined. I've got to go in. See there, that like a bump. I want that to be well defined. Go right into it. Come out on the other side. There, nice. That's better. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the front. And it comes a little bit together there at the feet, but the back's not really beautiful. What I've done to him. I'm I've squashed him. I made him a skinny cat. Yeah, I'm not going to do any more because it could be overkill. See for the armpits. Yeah, it's the same thing. I think I'm going to leave it. I'm tempted to add an extra one on that side. It seems to be more the back that's not pinched in the front. Come out where it last was. Just go up literally one stitch. Come out on this side literally one stitch, because sometimes that's all that it needs is one stitch. Has made a difference? Not really. Probably got more to do with the stuffing. Probably just that much more stuffing on that arm. So yeah, I'm not going to do any more to that. What I'm going to do is work away this tail. Pulled it a bit tight. Error. I didn't pull them tight because otherwise they deform the work. If I can get it just under 2 hours, wouldn't that be wonderful? Got 7 minutes to go. A blunt needle for that, and I've been using a sharp one, so I mustn't use a sharp one to go poking around in there. I can easily catch on something and damage it. Whew. That was an adventure and a half. That was an adventure. There's no doubt about it. Let's add some of these little guys just for the lineup. Wow. Okay then. What I can say is, if you have actually watched all this way, thank you very much for keeping me company. And as you have discovered, we can never know. what, put it completely straight, we can never know what the result's going to be. There's always a surprise. And there he is. You can see the back. This one doesn't have beads on. Let's get one of the beads on. And it'll turn little kitties over. So goodbye then, and thank you very much. Have a lovely day. Bye.